Bonjour tout le monde ici à Montréal. Ça me donne un plaisir d'aujourd'hui de vous raconter l'histoire d'Exagens. I'm standing in for our CEO, Mike Stojan, who was called away on a family emergency. And I wanted to basically take you back to the story of where we began. And looking at the audience here, I'm sure many of you lived through this experience where you actually went into a bank, you had a human being there behind the teller, you built a relationship over years, and going back over the last 30 years, most of us stayed and had very loyal relationships with our banks. But you know what? People don't buy products, they buy relationships. This is my son, Alex. And Alex today, as a university student, has 3 accounts. And you know what? Across North America, the average is most people have 5 accounts. It's a different world today. But you know what? We're more accessible. The banks are more accessible. There are more devices in order to be able to have different interactions. But there's something missing. And what's missing is that relationship that was the fundamental of what banking has been built on over the last few hundred years, actually. And what the impact has been lost revenue, lower sales, less loyalty in the banking clients around the world. 3 years ago at an event similar like this, Mike and myself, as angel investors, came across a company that we actually thought had an outstanding vision. And surprisingly enough, that vision was based on a lot of the work that Andrew Thalos did, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics last evening. So I think this is fortuitous timing here that I stand on this stage. We came to meet George and Fred from Exagens, and their vision was about redefining what a digital relationship was all about, because they actually saw this disenfranchisement happening amongst banking customers. With over 40 years' experience in the banking industry, we knew that they had hit it on the head. Mike Stojan moved in subsequently after we put a seed round in as CEO of the organization. Mike actually has a lot of experience and has taken organizations public. Also one of the most phenomenal exits here in Montreal in the software industry. He was the architect behind the exit of Softimage and was the general manager of that company. What has changed and what made us unique in terms of Exagens was that ability in terms of what they were building as an AI engine to manage relationships and behavior. I want to make a great shout out to Desjardins, who actually embraced this concept early and deployed Assistant Accéder. In the last 4 minutes that I've been talking to you, she's actually spoken with over 4,000 customers. She's analyzed in terms of their behavior, what their next transactions are going to be, and what their history has been. All of this picking out the right time in order to engage in a conversation. She's available on demand 24/7. Or if the right opportunity based on what the individual is doing presents itself, she will begin to engage with them. She provides in-context guidance and support as I go through my transactions, and she knows often what I'm going to do next based on where I've been. She creates education and builds awareness of the products and services that Desjardins is offering today. She also provides tips, and most importantly, she provides advice. And this morning we just went live on mobile with Desjardins in terms of providing advice on what is the right package for them. She is looking out on a constant basis for a member's best interest. She also, upon providing advice, pre-fills all the fields, makes it simple, and takes you all the way through to completion of the transaction. It's all about relationship, and Exagens is focused on bringing that to the banking industry. We are reducing abandonment calls and, most important, costs of deploying services, increasing adoption, upselling, and also cross-selling, even more important. Engaged and satisfied. Our engine is built upon the fundamentals of a behavioral, intelligent cluster, knowing the most important things: how to talk to a person, why to talk to a person, and when to talk to a person. How are we doing? We've seen acceptance rates at over 72% in terms of the offers being presented, over 100 million transactions across 3 million customers, at 98% satisfaction rates. That has resulted in a 5x increase in the number of high-interest savings accounts in one of the advices that has been deployed. Not only that, we've seen an 8x factor in terms of adding an additional $60 million of deposits to these accounts. How are we doing? Well, great success brings great success to our company also. $3.1 million in revenue year to date. We're carrying 100% year-over-year growth. We have a $7.3 million pipeline. And you know what? I want to use the opportunity today to say it's the right time, the right place to start the conversation. If you're an investor in the audience, we're starting to build out looking for our A round. If you're a banker or in the insurance industry, let us tell you about what doing business with Exagens would look like.
Madame.
Thank you very much.
Merci. Judges, what questions do we have for Exagens? Quick burst there at the end. Dave.
Can you tell us beyond Desjardins what other customers you have? You've got, it looks like a deep integration there, but how's that translated into additional clients?
That's a great question. We're actually in pilot with an additional client, and we are starting the process. We're looking at a sales cycle generally of 6 to 9 months. So in our pipeline, we have about 5 different clients that we're talking about and moving into pilot with 2.
And just as a follow-on to that, so should I be thinking about you like a Personetics or a Casisto? What's the competitive environment?
Beautiful comparison. The difference, though, is really where I think that we've nailed it, is the analytics that have been focused on looking at specifically behavior. Where I look at Personetics and Calisto, yes, they're engaging in terms of conversations, but I think what's important is really, and a differentiator for us, and we've actually even partnered with NSERC here in Canada because the research was so unique on the behavior aspect of this, which is what nobody else is doing.
So you're a startup / scale up in some ways, right?
We're a big scale up, yes.
Because your revenues are scaling nicely. But how would you say that you're going to be able to maintain that, particularly as you move into markets beyond Canada?
Well, I think it's all about building the right teams. I have over 25 years of business development and executive level management, and I think that's what I also bring to this team as a startup. The ability to scale, to move that out, is understanding the right resources, the consulting resources, potentially partnerships with consulting companies, because there's an awful lot in terms of, in our partnerships with the banks, of bringing in the culture, of bringing in the style, fundamental aspects to making this successful.
Are you expanding outside of financial services?
I would say that this technology can apply to many industries across. Our core focus has been the financial industries because I think that really defines relationship. And if we can actually crack that, then I think moving into other industries is a simple next step.
Just very quickly. I wish more startups would have an angel investor that could pitch for them the way you did. So that's an amazing thing. The other one is, when you arrive on the angel round with that company, what was the team missing that you guys brought in? Because it feels you guys are incredibly involved as angels, and you're pitching on stage with the CEO.
You know, we see tremendous amount of great technology, great visionaries, but that does not translate into a go-to-market strategy. I think one of the first things that we saw in the organization that really set them apart from anybody else was their initial discussions with Desjardins. It is not easy, and I mean this in the best way, but to deal with corporate culture, to go through the purchasing process, to go through a contract that was 46 pages. That takes a lot of stamina. And I think that supplementing what we brought in, and certainly was guidance and advice and money to them in the beginning, was then moving forward, and where we saw the opportunity and the traction and the commitment to this team. We've moved from 12 people to 24 people in this year alone. So there's a tremendous amount of energy and excitement. And as I said, I think what was unique was the fact that we get to see the insides of a lot of companies, and that this one really stood out for us, which is why we've now committed and moved in full time.